Hey, pal, you ready for your next lesson? Sure, absolutely. Straight to business, I like that, good. This one is about people like Auntie Chang, and when we need them, there won't be a QA session after the story, but I want you to listen up, it's important. Sure. Alright, so here's the front-up lesson. Fixes are important. You can't just go on a Johnson yourself and get a job. I mean, you can, but you shouldn't. It's a bad idea all around. I did that once with this one dwarf that wants to ruin a party or something. Just saying. Okay, go on. A reason why it's a bad idea to cut people like Oni Cheng out is because you need someone to vet your clients. It's important. Protects the whole team. Yeah, but then you need to make sure, I guess. It is easier to trust one person who's going to do the work of making sure everybody else is trustworthy, but then, I mean, you're just putting all the work onto one person. It's like a member of the party, of the group. You remember the lesson from last time, the one about Tui and the shiny object? I wasn't paying attention. Yeah. Well, after the run was over, we went back to the sinking ship for some R&R. Tui had told us that the client would be sending a boat to collect the shiny object in the morning. All that we had to do was keep the thing safe until the handoff. We were in a celebratory mood. We'd killed an evil wizard, stolen a priceless artifact, a good night's work by anyone's standards. Especially fantasy standards, I would have to say. But let's just go back to the discussion at hand. Henry and Egret got good and drunk and racket time. So we went back to his cabin with the shiny object to, I don't know, stare at it for a while, something. I retired to my cabin and crashed out. It had been a long night. I get it. I remember waking up to sounds, yelling maybe. I was groggy and they were far away. I couldn't quite make them out. Clock said 4:30 a.m. People were always partying on the raft, playing loud music, shooting off fireworks, that kind of thing. So loud noises early in the morning weren't unusual, but something fell off somehow. That'd be your subconscious, yeah. Yeah, it sounded like a panic attack, really. Like full body certainty that something's wrong. So I got up to investigate. If something was wrong, I wanted to know, and if it wasn't, figured that I might as well get in on the party. Groggy as you were, I don't know about the partying bit, but that's just maybe... You get used to the ambient sound, whether it's partying or just calmly or just refrigerator doing its stupid thing. Whatever, you know, whatever it is, you're used to it, and then when it shifts slightly, it feels off, but you're not necessarily going to put the finger on it. I stepped out in the hallway, my foot slipped, came down hard, landed on my ass, and found myself sitting in a pool of blood. Okay, that's not good. I get where this is going. No, it was pretty bad. So it was pretty obvious by this point that something had got horribly wrong. My first thought was the shiny object might have, I don't know, unleashed something. After what I saw it do in the warehouse, I wouldn't have been surprised. So I shook that off pretty quick though. I knew that what this was. A client was playing us. He'd hired us to steal the thing, and rather than paying us for the job, he'd sent another team to take it. Did you look at the body and see bullet holes? Actually, I didn't mention the body. Maybe it's just blood sitting there. Isn't that jumping to conclusions though? Sure, I guess, but it was what made sense to me at the time. I mean, we were definitely under attack. That much was pretty clear. I gotta brush myself off and beelined for Malvina's cabin. She was the closest thing She was the closest thing that the sinking ship had the leader and the strongest rat shaman on the raft. Oh, well, that's good. I would just mention, you just attacked a place, and you weren't exactly subtle with it. It's either a counterattack from the people you attack. I know you killed the wizard, but there's still people in this general organization, if you can call it that. Or it could be some other rivals. It doesn't have to be the client, but it's probably going to be the client. It's gonna. I don't know if she has definitive proof of that, but it seems like it's heading that way. I gotta brush myself off and be. Oh, right. I read that already. I mean, yeah, people need help. Yeah, it seemed like the right thing at the time. If there was a retrieval team coming for the shiny object, they were strong enough to handle Tui while he was holding it. What chance would I have of stopping them on my own? I figured that it was time to bring out the big guns. Malvina was the one to whom I could get them from. I don't know about the reasoning. I mean, the fact that you're prioritizing like survival and people over a job, probably good. Depends on your monetary situation. I don't know. Let's just keep going. I passed some pretty bad stuff on my way down Malvina's cabin. I was old man. You see, what was you saying? Hold on. I'll remember. Xiuyan, right? Something like that. One of you was commenting on my pronunciation. Whatever. I'm Western. Let's just fully embrace the fact that I'm Western and deal with the consequences of being Western. It was old man Xiuyan's vault all over again. The torn bodies, the blood-streaked floors. I saw people who'd been cut apart with machetes. Scorch marks on the container walls. So it was the shiny object. Deep down in the pit of my gut, I could feel the throbbing vibration of the shiny object. The heartbeat feeling I had in the warehouse. It was back and stronger than ever. Whatever that rock was, it was awake. Yeah, it had a feeling of the One Ring in Lord of the Ring. It seemed to have that effect on Tsui. Did you make it a Malvina's? Yeah, I burst through the door all ready to spread the news, and someone smashed a gun into my face. It was Cadmus, my friend. He jammed the muzzle of his super warhorn into my cheek so hard it hurt, and then grabbed me by the belt with his other hand. I wasn't going anywhere. Just over his shoulder I saw Malvina. She didn't look amused. They may have not thought before they acted, yes. Yeah, only it wasn't an attack. Our client had nothing to do with it. Turns out there was no client, so he had lied to us, and by helping to steal the shiny object, I'd unwittingly given him what he needed to foment a mutiny. Did he? Oh. That's a thing. What's going to stop your fixer from doing the same thing, though? That doesn't make sense. As it turns out, betrayal hurts, Seattle. Malvina felt it, and I felt it too. Tui had been a friend. I just risked my life to save his like 4 hours ago, and he'd tricked me into helping him do something unthinkable. He probably did it to get the stone more than anything. So what did you do is more important than why he did it. What could I do? I didn't have a whole lot of options, and Cadmus was kind of on edge, like red-faced and screaming. So I opened my mouth and I fast-typed my way out of it. Whose side is Cadmus on? I started off by doubling down my loyalty to Malvina, Cadmus, and the status quo on the sinking ship. So when my undying friendship, you know the drill. I did a good job of it, but it still looked a little iffy. Iffy with a warhawk is bad, so I volunteered to prove myself by stealing the shiny object back from Tsui. Make the situation right. Maybe you felt guilty as well, and you're just not willing to admit it. I don't know. I'm still confused as to how this ties to the lesson of the day, though. Saying you need fixers to vet the clients, that's one thing, but the fixer could do exactly the same thing. It doesn't matter whether it's part of the team or not. That was brave of you. I know, right? Not my style at all. But then I didn't really have a choice. I didn't. That's your style, by the way. It's rat style. Just do something if you're backed in the corner. I'd inadvertently helped to harm the bastard who was tearing our friends and neighbors apart. I don't think I could have cleared my name without taking his weapon away again. It was a hell of a night. I don't want to get into too many of the gory details. Friends died. Hell, friends killed each other. It was brother against brother, all that jazz. And Tsui's indiscriminate use of the shiny object led to a lot of things into this world that I shouldn't have been. Shouldn't have been. So did you... Well, I mean, you didn't die at least. Yeah, it wasn't easy, but I got it. How'd you manage that? Lies and misdirection, trickery, rat helped. Some of the things that Tsui let loose actually came in handy. He'd summoned so many of them that he couldn't hope to control them all, and that gave me an opening to use them to my advantage. I managed to trick my way past Tsui's supporters, and the astral menagerie that he'd summoned. Wasn't easy, but I did it. Then I stole the shiny object, and all was right again in the world. And yeah, I'm intentionally glossing over the details. I had to do some things that I'm not proud of, and people died because of it. But I got the damn thing and I got it back to Malvina. Did she turn evil as well? That would be funny. No, but yes, but no. Long story short, Malvina put the shiny object to better use than Tsui ever did. She took the thing like she'd grown up using it. We still lost dozens of people, but Tsui's side lost more. Cadmus was critically wounded, but he pulled through. After the skirmish, Malvina held an assembly. She told everybody that there'd be new rules for life on the raft. Anyone who refused to follow them could leave, and if you broke them, you were done. The rules of the sea and all that. After the pronouncement, she turned on the surviving mutineers. She turned on them? Honey was one of them. He'd been on Tsui's plan the whole time. She didn't kill them, but she did exile them from the sinking ship, and for people in our economic bracket, that was as good as a one-way trip to the World City. I'd be willing to bet that they're all there by now. In the wake of Malvina's ultimatum, 5 survivors left the faint sinking ship. I was one of them. I figured you had left. Probably something in the rules. Why did you leave? I had to go. We may have washed the blood off the decks, but the energy of the sinking ship had changed. I wasn't a carefree haven that I'd loved anymore. And as sensible as Malvina's rules were, I wasn't up to living under them. We parted on good but sad terms, and as you'd expect, we drifted apart over the years. It's funny, I hadn't even thought of Malvina or the sinking ship in years. Not until I decided to teach you your previous lesson, and it all came flooding back. That's the story, it's finished, but I want to circle back on the lesson I gave you up front, because it's important. We need Oni-chan to bring us work, that's obvious, but we also need her to keep us honest, to be sure that we on the team are playing straight with one another. Well, yeah, but she's technically part of the team if you make her the fixer, and no one's keeping her honest. As far as I know, just saying. Ani Chang's reputation rides on the legitimacy of the jobs that she brings us, and that, more than anything, is why we need her. If we didn't have Ani Chang, or someone like it, we'd eventually tear ourselves apart. It happened on the second ship. It could happen again in Haoi. In theory, yes, she's right. Yeah, so anyway, that's the lesson. If you've got follow-up questions, go ahead and ask them. What did she do with that? That's a good question. Throw into the sea? Well, first she used it to get rid of the things that Tsui had let loose. Then she put it away for safekeeping. It's probably still there on the second ship, and ensconced in some shrine or other, held under lock and key. That's not very secure. Just saying. Yeah, agreed. I don't like it either. But then she'd already proven that she could handle the thing, and it did help her put down Tsui's mutiny. I guess it's a foundation of her place of authority on the boat. Plus, she's a shaman. We deal with dangerous magic beyond mortal ken on a daily basis. It's not that weird for us. It's not that it's weird. I'm not bothered by it because it's weird. I'm bothered by it because it's dangerous. Yeah, still. Remember that she just watched her home, the home that she was supposed to guide and protect, tear itself apart. She'd lost a lot of friends and failed in her duties as a leader, and I think that hit her pretty hard. In the shiny object, she said something that could help her keep that from ever happening again. Given the choice between tossing it and keeping it back in her back pocket, well, you do the math. All I'm saying is it could tear it apart again, because if it's right there, it's open to being desired, and if someone desires it enough and is foolish enough to try to do something, it's going to tear everything back open again. I'm just saying. Like I said, I'd have preferred it if she had ditched the thing, but in the end, it wasn't my choice to make. From what little I've heard, she's still in power over there, so I guess that it worked out today. So far, sure. What happened to him? That walking colostomy bag was already dead, eaten by his own monsters after I took the shiny object away. Turns out he wasn't much good at controlling them without it. Oh. He was dead after you gave the thing to Malvina and then got back to him. Got it. He didn't even live long enough to watch his immunity fail. That's good, I guess. Any thoughts about the last run? I think that went pretty well. There aren't a lot of runners who can say they went up against Ares and came out ahead. Sure, maybe the job could have gone a little smoother, but how are we supposed to account for another runner team showing up? Adaptability sis. Bleh. I can talk sometimes. Adaptability, Seattle. That's what makes a good runner. Always go with your instincts. I think you made the right call, giving those guys a laser. I mean, sure, who doesn't like lasers? But would another gun really make that much of a difference to us? That team sounded like the kind of people who won't forget a dip. Sometimes that's the difference between living and dying. Who you can call in a pinch. Sometimes, other times, it's the weapons you have at hand. Also, spoken like a true magic user who doesn't give a shit about the fancy tech toys we can have. What else do you want to chat about? Isabel, actually. Oh yeah, well sure then, ask away. This? Yeah, I guess I'm not surprised. Iz has never been big on padding a story with unnecessary detail. So you call that unnecessary? I mean, I call that curiosity, but that's just me. Yeah, sure, why not? I'll share. To start, I guess that you're gonna need to know what the walled city was like when me and Iz were kids. She didn't tell you anything about that, did she? She wasn't big on the volunteering unnecessary information. Yeah, that's what I thought. Well, for starters, you should probably know that the walled city wasn't always as bad as it is now. It was always dangerous, but 10 years ago, it was just a run-of-the-mill slam. Still safe enough for walk-in. That walking in didn't qualify as a suicide attempt. I mean, I did that earlier and it was fine. Although I'm a runner, I'm not really a resident. That's what I just said, but let's not, you know, provoke her on this. Keep going. Back then, I used to play in the walled city. Rat would lead me into all the nooks and crannies that grown-ups were too big to fit through. There was this other young shaman in there that I used to play with. His name was Happy, or Lucky, or something like that. He felt a pig. Nice guy, good card player. Obviously, none of this was a good idea. A teenage girl going to the walled city by herself, that's a recipe for disaster. I didn't realize any of this at the time, though. I loved playing in the alleys and crawl spaces of the walled city. It was fun. So, did that happen? Yeah, inside the walled city there are these districts. You were in one earlier when Cheng sent you after Strangle Bear, the Lodge's Den. How many districts are there? A lot. Some of them aren't much bigger than an apartment building. Really? Why would you call that a district? You'd be surprised how many people you can cram into a single room when you have to. That's stupid. I mean, con cars are a thing, but still, that's stupid. Isabel and her family lived in the Mansion District. It's a sort of a holding pen for refugees from the Middle East and Africa. Basically, anyone who isn't Asian, European, or Gobbet. It's less pleasant than it sounds. It doesn't sound pleasant. So there aren't any of that? No, people like me and Duncan get their own districts in the walled city, regardless of their country of origin. Nice, cushy places on the outer perimeter of the wall. There are advantages to being big and strong, especially when everyone around you is too malnourished to fight back. Makes sense that it's a little bit anarchist in that way. Of course, the residents of the Goblinoid districts all share a metatype too. They've got something in common, a set of shared experiences that tie them together. Not so in the Mansion District. The only things that those people had in common was their skin color and the fact that they were living in crushing poverty. There wasn't even a common language for them to speak. But they probably, you know, congregated into like different communities, because that's what people do usually. It's a pretty rough place, lots of infighting, lots of gang-on-gang violence. People did band together for protection, but there wasn't a lot of hope. Everyone lived in fear of being sent deeper into the slum, toward the center. When you start getting dragged in that direction, you don't come back. Oh, so it's in gradients and the center is bad, and the further you are, the better it is? Got it. So the Goblinoids were really well off since they're on the edges. Sounds like a charming place. Yeah, charming! And that's where I met Isabel. It wasn't long before we were friends. She was interesting. I think that's why I let her latch onto me. The girl was smart and savvy, but cripplingly shy. She didn't belong in the walled city. No one really does, but with her it was painfully obvious. She was like a little mouse crammed in a box full of weasels. It was only a matter of time before somebody snapped her up. That happened. She came to me in a dream, showed me that whatever was going bad in the walled city was getting worse. The whole place was rotten from the inside out, choking in bad chi and lost hope. I decided to go inside one more time. If I found Isabel, I'd offer to lead her out. If I didn't, well... I get it. You don't have to explain yourself to me. You tried, but at the same time, you're not going to... It's not like you gave up, but at the same time, you set a limit that's like, I'm going to try to help you, but I won't go this far. And some people would debate with you that, you can go farther, but at least you didn't give up. I'm going to go with this, though. Thanks! It wasn't pleasant to think about it, especially it isn't pleasant to think about it, especially considering what a shithole the walled city is now. Truth of the matter is, if I hadn't pulled Isabel out of there, she'd probably be dead by now. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I knew that you'd get it, and I did bump into her, and she did follow me, and that got us both out safe. So there you have it, happy endings all around. Maybe they're dead, maybe you just don't care. I'm not gonna ask that. What about Pigman? He went bad, crazy. The pig shaman I knew wound up going full on toxic. It was horrifying. He burned himself out in an orgy of blood. Nasty business. Not for me. Yeah, really, not for you. You're too down to earth. Toxic? I mean, no, she doesn't. He killed himself. Let's just leave it at that. When a shaman goes toxic, he goes bad. It's like, if you invert the usual meaning of a totem, that's what a toxic shaman does. Dog shamans are loyal and friendly, like all good dogs are. A toxic dog shaman is a rabbit. They're both dog, but there are different aspects of dog. Get it? I do. It's like in cartomancy. You don't always play cartomancy with that, but if the card is like reversed, if it's upside down, it means the exact opposite of what it usually means. So fortune is misfortune, right? Something like that. Although fortune isn't just luck, but let's just not get into all of this. Maybe. That's what I heard. You don't want to know what happened to him, what he became. It was pretty bad at the end. Before the locals overwhelmed him, a lot of people died. You talked about an orgy, and that sounds about right, being the bad side of a pig. Because I assume when you become a totem of some animal, you take on the good traits. And orgy is just taking on the bad traits instead. I guess I'm going to make her feel bad about that, or they just died before. You think that I didn't want to? Look, it was going to be super dangerous. Okay. It was going to be dangerous enough to get Isabel out of her own. Dragging a whole family out with her would have been impossible. I'm going to go with why, actually. Just neutral, explain it. Because they weren't like me and Iz. They hadn't grown up on the streets. They were upper-class people back in Somalia before they emigrated to Hong Kong. They were hopelessly out of their element. Even if I had managed to find them, they probably would have done something stupid and gotten us killed. So you just left them? You probably didn't even meet them. You made the right choice, I think. And right I did. Even if I'd managed to convince them to come with us, they would have gotten caught. The Yellow Lotus would have kidnapped them if they were lucky. If they were unlucky, the thrill gangs or the organ leggers might have gotten them. It wasn't worth the risk to even try. Besides which, Isabel didn't want to bring her family. She wanted to get away from them as much as she did from the walled city. Never could get her to tell me why. That's gonna be in her memories, I assume. Let's talk about something else. Sure, ask away, I'm all ears. Bye. Sure, and Seattle, thanks for listening. These lessons are for your benefit, but I think they help me too. It's nice to be taken seriously every now and again. Yeah, me too. I gotta move on. I got Gobbet things to do. Does that mean rat things? Hey Duncan, didn't ask you about the last run. Bad timing, yeah, no, I ate something that was off. Still can't get used to the food here. Come back later when my digestive system's more agreeable. God damn it, Duncan. You retend. I guess we're gonna sleep. It's a side objective. I have to end the episode. My God. Well, I've been going off topic on other things the entire time. I suppose it's my fault it's taking so long to do things. Oh man, pain. That's not good. Oh, that's not a good feeling. Not good feelings all around. Did we get paid? How much money do we have? Dude, I can do some shopping. I'll probably do that off screen maybe. Although, knowing this game, it's gonna throw like story at me or something as soon as I talk to someone, so we'll see. Until then, see y'all.